I don't stand side by side with nobody till I bleed with them first.
What did we just see? You probably think this world is a dream come true.
When I step into this ring, yeah, bro, I am addicted.
Don't sleep on Luca!
Maybe tomorrow we'll all wear 42.
If you fight for your dreams will fight for you.
I want you to picture this wrestler. 6 feet tall, 189 pounds, 25 years old, coming out of Philly. Imagine the first time you see this wrestler, it's on AEW Dark Elevation in early 2021. He's going against Carl Anderson. He doesn't get an entrance. He's got bright tights, a big fur-lined jacket, and a futuristic-like mask. You can't really get a grip on what his character is, right? He loses, and later in the year you see him again as he joins the stable of best friends, which includes 2 of his trainers, Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor. He spends nearly a year with the group, but yet he doesn't really get much talking or even TV time, and when he does appear, he's kind of losing in quick fashion, even on Dark and Dark Elevation. Only with the best friends does he occasionally get the win, and even then, he isn't involved as much. This matter only gets worse when best friend's stablemate Trent returns from injury and he sees even less time, and his screen time is really only when he's accompanying the team. By October of 2021, he has an 8-8 record in AEW, and his average match time is only around 6 minutes. This doesn't sound like a notable wrestler to you, right? This doesn't sound like a younger piece for AEW's future. This most certainly doesn't sound like a guy who can take AEW's top talents to their limit. But what if I told you that he did? What if I told you that within a couple of months, Wheeler Yuta completely changed the way everybody viewed him? That he went from unknown prospect to taking former world champions to their limit. It's the October 16th, 2021 edition of AEW Dynamite, and Jon Moxley is going up against Wheeler Yuta. The bell rings, and Moxley immediately hits Yuta with a clothesline. He nails Yuta with forearms to the head and hits his patented paradigm shift, and there it is, the match is over. You're probably sitting there like, that's all? Yup, the match went 47 seconds and Yuta never got a hit in. And for now, that's it with Yuta. He'll wrestle a couple more times before the end of the year. He'll get a couple more wins and losses with around the same match time average. But this is simply the beginning of the journey. It is now February 2nd, 2022. Dynamite, and once again, Wheeler Yuta is matched up against, this time, a recently returned Jon Moxley. After his match with Yuta last year, Moxley would wrestle one more match before going on leave for personal reasons. Mox returned in late 2022, and so Yuta is Moxley's third opponent since returning. And this adds to the story, as this time, Yuta is actually able to get offense in on Mox. Mox still has most of the offense, but Yuta is able to get his strikes in and more formidable forms of offense. After hitting Yuta with a DDT on the apron, Mox is then distracted by Yuta's best friend stablemates Orange Cassidy and Danhausen. This allows for Yuta to get a huge diving crossbody onto Mox, and you can tell that Yuta has learned so much from that 47-second match, as when Moxley attempts to hit a paradigm shift, Yuta is able to escape out of it, dodge Mox's clothesline, and counters it into an angle slam. But yet, even after a splash off the top, Mox still kicks out at 2. Yuta attempts a move, only to be caught in a sleeper, hit with a clothesline, a series of elbows, and then the eventual paradigm shift for the win. Another match with Mox, another loss for Yuta. At least here, Yuta lasted 7.5 minutes and got in a good amount of offense. Slowly but surely, Yuta is improving and going the distance. Around this time, Mox would enter a feud with Bryan Danielson. As a matter of fact, the feud would really begin after Mox's match with Yuta. Danielson would come out and proclaim to Mox that they shouldn't be fighting, but they should be a team. And it is here where Danielson sows these tiny little seeds. See, Danielson talks down the AEW roster, saying a cowboy or a dinosaur or a vlogger shouldn't be this company's champions. But put simply, together, him and Mox can run this company and shape professional wrestling in their image. They can take young talents like Wheeler Yuta, Lee Moriarty, and Daniel Garcia under their wing and train them so that the future of AEW is what they want it to be. Now, Mox would not give an answer right away. Instead, Mox would tell Danielson one simple thing. He doesn't stand side by side with anybody until he has bled with them. And so the two would have a match at Revolution 2020, and after the match, the two would put their differences aside with the aid of William Regal to form the Blackpool Combat Club. And it is here where Wheeler Yuta's journey truly takes quite the turn. 2 weeks after Revolution 2022, Mox and Danielson would face off against Chuck Taylor and Wheeler Yuta. Yuta demonstrates his development as he counters many of Mox's moves, but this is a different Mox and Danielson. These two are solely focused on inflicting violence upon their opponents. But Yuta welcomes this. As Danielson nails him with kicks, he beckons Danielson to continue. He takes all sorts of offense from both men, but it's not enough, as the kicks from Danielson and a chokehold from Mox force Yuta to tap out. Once again, another loss for Yuta at the hands of Moxley, although he continues to slowly show that he can hang with the best. Blackpool Combat Club celebrates in the ring as best friends walk to the back. But Yuta looks back at the men in the ring. He knows they had an eye out for him. He knows from Danielson's promo that they believe in the potential for him. So, Yuta gets back in the ring and stares at all three men. He extends his hand out to Regal, only to be met with a slap. But Yuta does not back down as he gets in Regal's face even when Mox and Danielson stand up to him. It's a small moment, but it essentially shows the Blackpool Combat Club that Yuta has that killer instinct that they're looking for, and this was him officially submitting his resume. At the end of the month, Yuta would face off against Bryan Danielson in a match to prove his tenacity. In the match, Yuta matches Danielson strike for strike, hold for hold. A good moment to showcase this is when Danielson goes for his patented elbows to the head, only for Yuta to turn around and give Danielson a taste of his own medicine. But Danielson takes Yuta out with a running knee and seems to be setting up the finish of the match. As Danielson grabs both of Yuta's arms to finish him off with a series of kicks to the head, Yuta spits in the face of Danielson. If he's going down, he might as well prove he's not going down humiliated. Danielson lays in the kicks and hits a pile driver on Yuta, and Yuta passes out in Danielson's face lock. Yuta didn't give up. The ref was the one who stopped the match for him. All while William Regal praises him on commentary for his tenacity. And it is here that we reach the climax of Wheeler Yuta's current arc. We have one final match. Leading up to this moment, despite being handed loss after loss, Yuta has proved the one thing that is constantly emphasized in wrestling. You don't have to win to be made into a star. Now real quickly, let me explain that. That doesn't mean you can constantly hand a wrestler losses and expect them to get over with the crowd. No, what it means that even in defeat, you can make a wrestler look like $1,000,000. And to prove that, we now look at the main event of the April 6, 2022 edition of AEW Rampage, where newly crowned Ring of Honor Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta takes on Jon Moxley in their third singles match. Yuta has been handed loss after loss at the hands of Moxley and the BCC. He is out for blood in this match. As Moxley makes his entrance from the crowd, Yuta can no longer wait as he dives onto Mox onto the outside. The two begin to brawl, even making their way into the crowd. As they get back in the ring, the match officially starts. The two go back and forth, and Yuta truly begins to match Mox strike for strike. But things take a turn. Mox stomps Yuta's head into the steel ring steps, and it is here that Yuta begins to bleed. Mox begins to target the wound, and Yuta begins to slowly lose control. He attempts offense, but the blood loss is costing him too much time. Any move is immediately cut off by Mox, but Yuta continues to fight. Mox gets him in a Texas cloverleaf just for Yuta to power through and reach the ropes. After more offense, Yuta sends Moxley to the outside and with no hesitation climbs the rope and dives onto Moxley, putting him through the ringside table. Despite fighting off pure adrenaline at this point, Yuta is still giving it his all with a plethora of offense, including suplexes, slams, even Danielson's kicks. He gets a close 2 count after a splash and then gets Mox in a crossface submission. Even after all of Mox's attacks and trash talk, Yuta gets in his face to prove his tenacity. But Mox eventually hits the paradigm shift, and much like before, it is presumably the end. until Yuta powers out at 2 to the surprise of Mox. Yuta even escapes the chokehold and welcomes Mox to kick him just to counter it into a roll-up and then a chokehold of his own. But Mox begins to nail Yuta with a series of elbows and then a big paradigm shift. Yuta has fought hard, but this is surely the end. Until Yuta once again powers out at 2. But Mox is a veteran and immediately puts Yuta into a sleeper, and it is here where it is officially ends. After nearly 13 minutes of brutal fighting and bleeding buckets, Yuta once again passes out and loses to Mox again. But there's something different about this time. Think about the journey we've seen from this young man. From losing in 47 seconds to taking a former AEW World Champion to their limit. From barely getting a fence to matching him strike for strike and kicking out of his patented move twice. As it all comes to a close, Mox just stares at Yuta with a face of shock. Shocked that this kid fought that hard. Shocked that this is the same kid he fought months ago. Danielson and Regal all enter the ring and just have these genuine looks of shock. As Yuta regains consciousness, the three men just surround Yuta. Danielson and Regal look like as if they're going to attack Yuta, but to their surprise, Yuta is not backing down. Even with a crimson mask, he welcomes their violence. As Yuta steps to Regal, he doesn't extend a hand, instead he raises a fist. Unlike last time, he won't let his guard down. But this time, Regal instead extends a hand out to him. Yuta shakes his hand, and it is here that I like to think Yuta remembers Moxley's words to Danielson. I don't stand side by side with anybody until I've bled with them. Yuta gathers his blood on his finger and spells out BCC on his chest. As he goes to exit the ring, Mox simply tells him the real work begins now. 5 matches, 5 losses. But yet, 5 matches was all it took to prove that AEW had a star on their hands. 5 matches where Wheeler Yuta proved that one can only hang with the best after they have been forged in combat.